All right, you're good to go, Keith. I'm going to click start.
Righty, thank you. Welcome, everyone. I'm Keith Gambill, a music teacher from Evansville and president of the Indiana State Teachers Association, the largest educators union and professional organization in the state. Today, on the first day of American Education Week, I will share ISTA's top legislative priority for the upcoming General Assembly. ISTA members have joined me to share how our legislative priority of restoring teachers' voice in working conditions will impact their career, their colleagues, and their students. I will also provide a statewide update on the progress of collective bargaining, debuting a new statewide salary map. I first want to thank our members who have been working hard on their bargaining teams this year. It is important now more than ever to retain our current teachers. And one of the best ways to do this is by providing them professional pay. Going into bargaining this year, one of our top goals was to lift the starting salary for all teachers to $40,000. When our members started bargaining, only 79 districts met this goal. I'm happy to report, as of Friday, 212 school districts will now meet this goal. With just a quarter of schools not yet reaching a starting salary of $40,000, more work is needed, but clearly we are making good progress. ISTA developed a statewide map to easily track school districts that have achieved the goal of a starting salary of $40,000. This map will be regularly updated as contracts are ratified. The map can be viewed at investineducationin.org. Our state is making progress on teacher pay, and we remain steadfast in ensuring this progress doesn't slow over the coming years. However, professional pay alone isn't enough. Additional action needs to be taken to attract and retain teachers to address our state's teacher shortage. Educators routinely cite the lack of professional respect as a contributing factor to our state's teacher shortage. We are now going into the third consecutive school year impacted by the coronavirus pandemic. Our educators, already overburdened, are facing unsustainable levels of stress and stress-related illness. The shortage of teachers, compounded by substitute shortage, have teachers working even longer hours without time off and no time for planning. We have teachers working 12-hour days or longer on top of second and sometimes even third jobs. A recent survey from Indiana State University showed that nearly 97% of Indiana schools report teacher shortages in the current school year. Schools and educators need a lifeline from the legislature, as this is unsustainable. Our kids have experienced significant academic impacts during the pandemic, and everyone seems to agree that we need to get them back up to grade level. However, this important work is hampered by overworked staff and growing class sizes. We must do better for our kids and our educators. It's better for both students and teachers when educators have a voice in school conditions. Whether we work in a school or factory or office, we should have the right to band together for working conditions that let us do our jobs safely and well. In schools, educators should be allowed to work together through our local associations to get contracts that include limits on class sizes and prep periods for teachers to prepare lessons and to grade work. But in Indiana, the legislature has blocked educators from having a voice in these parts of their work since 2011. This has resulted in unmanageable class sizes, unsafe conditions, and demoralized staff. Most Hoosiers agree. Not only do educators want to have a greater voice for their students and in their profession, so do a majority of Hoosiers. This summer, ISTA commissioned a statewide voter survey weighing public support for restoring educators' collective bargaining rights. The results show that 8 in 10 Hoosiers say that educators should be able to bargain for health and safety, class sizes, and prep periods, in addition to salary and wage-related benefits. It's overwhelmingly clear that Hoosiers believe educators should be able to negotiate as a group for working conditions to improve learning conditions. Hoosiers believe teachers should be able to stand together for their students. We are calling on the General Assembly to respect Indiana teachers and restore their ability to bargain contracts that include health and safety conditions, class sizes, and prep periods for teachers to prepare lessons and to grade work. In addition to the priorities outlined today, ISTA will be releasing its full legislative priorities next month. Now, I have the honor of introducing a few educators who are here to share their stories of what it would mean to restore bargaining rights in these 3 areas. Jessica Ramirez is a special education teacher. She has taught for 13 years and is the department chair at Northside Middle School in Elkhart. Good morning, Jessica.
Good morning. Our working conditions are our students' learning conditions. It is not really about us. If there are too many students in a room, we cannot provide them the education they deserve. I think being able to bargain class size is crucial for the well-being of public education. We've all had classes that run smoothly and classes that have been hard to manage. Often it comes down to which students are in the class rather than how many students there are. However, without class size contract language that can be tailored to fit all situations, distortions of reality are very easily created. It is really a math problem. Minutes in the day divided by students in the room. As an example, a secondary teacher with 6 classes may have 5 with 20 students and 1 with 60. Reported as an average, the class size numbers appear fine. Obviously, the 60 students for most classes is much too large, and students would not be able to receive the level of instruction and attention they need and would receive in any other smaller class would. Similarly, in elementary schools, a kindergarten or first grade class of 30 to 32 is different from a 6th grade class with the same number of students. The level of supports needed to adequately provide a safe and healthy learning environment is vastly different depending on the age of the students. Large class sizes can also lead to disruptive behaviors. The more bodies in a room, the less likely you are to see someone misbehave. It can quickly turn into a prison camp or a zoo. Experiments have shown that too many animals in the same cage will turn on each other. Similarly, too many students in a small classroom may start to pick at each other. Setting a limit on the number of students in a classroom sets up the class and teacher for success instead of failure, thus providing students with a more meaningful educational experience. We are the experts in gauging what our students need. If we have a class that has a large number of students with educational deficiencies, we need smaller classes because one teacher can only do so much. We are the experts in our content areas as well. Educators have a better understanding of the demands of our curriculum and standards. If the concepts are extremely difficult for students to grasp, we need to have a say in the number of students in the class to allow for better Tier 1 instruction and to Tier 2 interventions. I am lucky enough to work in a building and a district in which my opinion on the needs of special education students and math curriculum help define the number of students I have per class. We have set limits of no more than 15 students in my math 7th and 8th grade classes, with an occasional exception here or there. This allows me more time with my students to focus on their weaknesses as I get them prepared for high school algebra. Class size definitely relates to the amount of work a teacher does as well. The more students there are, the more assignments that need to be graded, the more feedback that needs to be given, and the more parents there are to keep informed of student progress. Improving working conditions for teachers seems like a no-brainer when teacher shortages are severe. In our current educational climate, and thanks to the effects COVID has had on our schools and students, the need for smaller class sizes is more important than ever. Creating welcoming and safe classroom environments for students starts with building relationships with our students and their families. Restoring class size language into teacher contracts and making it bargainable again is imperative to help move our students forward in this ever-changing world. Thank you.
Thank you, Jessica. Jenny Whittaker is an algebra teacher at Warren Central High School in Indianapolis. Jenny has taught for 20 years and is the president of the Warren Education Association. Good morning, Jenny.
Good morning. Collective bargaining enhances educational excellence and ensures educational employees a voice in their professional lives. Everyone deserves the right to a safe, healthy workplace and learning environment. A teacher's working condition is a student's learning condition. Ensuring that educational facilities are safe from all environmental and chemical hazards, including but not limited to lead from water pipe systems within schools, inadequate ventilation, and sick building syndrome means that all staff and students' health concerns are a priority in any building of any district. Keeping schools safe allows children and educators to look forward to being in an encouraging environment that promotes social and creative learning. When the basic safety needs of children are not met, they are at risk for not feeling comfortable at school and may stop showing up, or they may remain on edge throughout the day. Strict policies on school safety promote increased learning, feelings of school unity, higher levels of pro-social behavior, and decreased levels of violence. When educators have a voice in the equipment for personal safety, the implementation of safeguards, and the necessary training required, it results in employee satisfaction. Work-related injuries and mishaps cost everyone during the worst circumstances. It could result in financial loss, not just to the employee, but also the district. But it could adversely affect the personal life of employees and the reputation of the district. Healthier employees operating under manageable levels of stress are happier and more positive, helping to maintain a strong, healthy workplace culture that is conducive to creativity and learning. The increased workload and longer hours because teachers have to do even more outside of contract hours is having an adverse effect on their performance in the classroom. We are seeing increases in teachers with depression, anxiety, sleeping difficulties, and work-life imbalance. Stress is taking a toll on an educator's life at home with their family and children, less time with their family because of the teacher guilt to make sure things are graded, communication to parents are returned, and various other tasks are unable to be completed during the day. Teachers have always taken things home to grade and lessons to plan, but it has become so much more lately that it is unmanageable. Schools and districts are seeing a rise in staff turnover, and it is having a negative impact on schools. Constantly training new staff on initiatives and the day-to-day workings of any building takes away from the success of that building's initiatives, causing the success of those initiatives to slow down dramatically. We are seeing the effects of stress of working in education with the teacher shortage, education support staff shortage, and bus driver shortage, just to name a few. Ensuring that we make the health of everyone who engages with our students a priority means that we can work to make our schools a place people want to stay and work and students want to learn. The community and students benefit from professionals being supported as a whole. Currently, health and safety is only a topic of discussion that can be held between staff and administration at the district level. By making health and safety a part of collective bargaining, it allows educators to become true stakeholders in the process and the district as a whole. The health and safety of students and staff is a shared value of not just the district, but also the community. This is how progress happens. Building a contract based on shared values, and it is a logical thing to do in order to make schools innovative and welcoming for our students. Knowing that our on-the-job issues are being addressed can give us a sense of security so that we can focus our energy on providing the creative, quality education that our students need and deserve.
Thank you, Jenny. Laurie Young is a science teacher at F.J. Wrights High School in Evansville. She has been teaching for 29 years and is the president of the Evansville Teachers Association. Good morning, Laurie.
Good morning. Thank you, Keith, for the warm introduction. Student learning and growth become obscured when teachers do not have a voice on issues that impact their classrooms, like class size, personal planning time, and student and staff safety. These are genuine concerns for every Hoosier educator. Unfortunately, my time is limited, so I'm going to focus on 3 reasons why personal planning time is imperative for our students, our teachers, and our state. First, student assessment suffers when planning periods are limited, when student work on challenging skills or multi-layered lessons, they require effective feedback. Teaching workplace skills like problem solving, teamwork, and communication are placed on the back burners. When planning time is interrupted, when planning time is consistently removed from the teacher's day, students across our state are negatively impacted. Second, we build relationships with our community during our planning time. Teachers use planning periods to build relationships with students, colleagues, parents, and community partnerships. Teachers often spend their planning time meeting with students who need extra help. We discuss student progress with parents, and we plan field trips to go out into our community, and we collaborate with like-minded colleagues. When planning time is not preserved, relationships falter. Third, and most importantly, planning periods contribute to our personal health. I've saved this point for last because of its significance to teacher absenteeism. Without daily planning time, teachers don't get a chance to take care of their basic physical and mental needs. If you have ever encountered a teacher who hasn't gone to the bathroom for 4 hours or more, you know what I'm talking about. Personal planning time should be sacred. It should not be hijacked for so-called professional responsibilities like coordinating the PSAT, administering iRead, taking surveys, or coming up with ideas to revamp school culture. It must be preserved for teachers to further develop their level of expertise. Please work to guarantee teachers have daily, uninterrupted, dedicated, individual planning time. Will you help me and my fellow Hoosier educators?
Thank you, Laurie.
Thanks, Keith. Thanks, everybody. For the journalists on the call, if you have a question, click the raise your hand button. I'll call on you and you'll need to unmute your microphone. First, we have Erica Facey. Erica? Erica, you should be able to speak.
Can you guys hear me?
Yep, we can hear you now.
Hi, that's actually my boss. This is Jasmine Miner from Wish TV. How are you guys? Thank you so much. I was like, oh, I'm not Erica, but that is my boss. I just had a quick question. So, this is a big topic of a conversation over in Pike Township right now. Neither the district nor the teachers have been able to reach a deal. The district is offering about, I want to say, a 4.6 raise for teachers. The teachers are asking for about a 7% raise, and that is still less than what surrounding districts are giving their teachers. And so my question for you all is, one, what's your reaction to that? And two, I know you talked a little bit about the starting salary for teachers, but what about teachers like the 3 you have on who have, 15, 20 years of experience? I've talked to some Pike teachers who say, I'm not really making much more money. I've got 15 years behind me than someone who just started for the first year. So just wanted to get your reaction and your comments on that.
Well, first of all, we have to understand now that we are in a time of a severe teacher shortage, and districts really need to do all they can to make sure that they have a contract that is going to first attract folks to come and work in their school district and then stay with that school district. And so the educators in the example that you listed for Pike, they are really thinking about what is best for the school district. And that is making sure that they have the finest educators coming in to work and that they're going to be able to keep them in the profession. And that's why it's so very important. Each of our Indiana school districts, as they have been negotiating their contracts, have worked very hard not only to lift beginning teacher salaries, but they have also been working on how to best distribute those funds so that as folks want to stay in the profession, they can see where they will be moving throughout their time in the classroom over years. And so that's taken some doing, and it has resulted in some changes for educators, but we certainly do want to make sure that we are providing a career path for folks where when they enter the profession, they can look and see that they are entering a profession where they know that they will be able to afford a home, be able to marry, be able to raise a family. They need to have those assurances in order for them to stay in the profession. So it's been a very big lift. And fortunately, we have had resources from the state government in order to start this work, but we're far from over.
Okay, thank you, Jasmine. Next, we have Eric Berman from WIBC. Eric, go ahead.
Hi, good morning. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Excellent. That's how it's supposed to work. Several of you have referenced the teacher shortage and the need to take these steps to address that. We've been hearing over the last several months from everybody from giant factories down to Starbucks about how they can't find workers either. Why would these measures be more effective or be effective in keeping teachers on the job any more than other businesses are having trouble getting their workers on the job?
Well, we certainly have to look at the entire climate in which we are building for our educators. And first and foremost, we led with how far our salaries were lagging within the region, and resources have been put there so that we're moving in the right direction for that. But we, as has been revealed by those speaking today, there's much more to the working conditions than just salary. And because we have not been able to negotiate these items, we've seen an erosion over the past years. And we recognize that this problem is not going to get solved overnight, but we want to do everything we possibly can to ensure those who are currently working for us, that we're able to retain our finest educators, and that we are able to then continue to expand those who want to come in to our profession and recognize that this is their career.
Okay, thanks, Eric. Next, we have Lee Gaines from WFYI.
Hi there, can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Oh, perfect. Okay. So my colleague and I have been reporting on the special educator shortage. In particular, it's pretty dire, all of the data that we've looked at. This is also a national problem. We've spent a lot of time talking to folks around the country about what they think needs to happen in order to solve the special educator teacher shortage. I'm curious about your reaction, Jessica, and also your reaction, Keith, to the suggestion that special educators should be paid more potentially than general educators because of some of the extra responsibilities that they shoulder, like increased paperwork, things like that. So is that something that you would support, paying special educators more in order to deal with that particularly dire shortage that we have?
Jessica, I'll turn to you as well, but we have always supported local control. And for our locals to be able to bargain and work on these working conditions as it is and affects and impacts their local school district. What we as a profession need to do, and where we will need the assistance of our legislators, is to recognize that each of our curricular areas are different, and certainly the needs of our special education educators have a very different workload than do the general education teachers. And so while money may be an option, making sure that they have the time and the resources provided during the school day to perform all of their work that is required, may be another option that exists. But all of that means that we're going to have more resources and more educators. And so we have to do everything we can to make sure that folks want to come into the profession and want to stay. Jessica, any follow-up?
I would just agree that I think that, you know, every educator needs to be paid more. That's the bottom line. Having that local control can help us determine what we need in a particular district, because I know in my district, where it is a little bit more urban, we do have higher special education needs than maybe somebody else. So that's something that would have to be determined by that local. Of course, you know, more funding is going to help, but there's only so many hours in the day to do the paperwork and provide the services. So it has to be something more than just the money, although I will happily take more.
Okay, thank you. Next, we have Alexandra Appleton from Chalkbeat. Go ahead, Alex.
Thank you so much, guys. I was just wondering, you made a similar request last year in regards to working conditions. And I think, you know, I'm new here, so I was wondering if you could tell me if you felt you got any momentum in the last legislative session. And if not, why come back to it now?
Well, part of what we have now is we have taken the time to really speak to Hoosiers. 90% plus of Hoosier families send their child into our public schools. And they overwhelmingly support that our educators need to be able to sit down at the bargaining table and work with their local school district in providing time for our plan, for discussions about health and safety, and this is vitally important to our profession, and it is something that we will continue to work for.
Thanks, Alex. Next, we have Erica Heron from the Indianapolis Star. Go ahead, Erica.
Hi, thank you. I appreciate all of your time this morning. I want to ask about a different topic, actually. I'm sure you all have seen the opinion that Attorney General Todd Rokita issued last week about Black Lives Matter signs, posters, etc., in classrooms and school buildings. I was just wondering if you could speak to this opinion, how you feel about it. Do you have any concerns? Is it appropriate? Any of the teachers, you know, on the panel, if you all you know, have these signs in your classrooms, or have any thoughts about if this is going to change things for you, or how you relate to or support your students?
Our educators need to be able to provide an environment that is safe and welcoming to all of our students. And a sticker or a little flag is not a curriculum. It is not a state standard. But we do recognize that something that small may be very meaningful to a student who walks into our classroom. And we are always at the heart and center of what we do. It is our students first, and wanting to make sure that they feel that they are coming into a class that is welcoming and safe. currently our educators don't all look like our students. And our students need to recognize that they are seen and that they are heard. And we want to make sure that we are always able to create that welcoming environment.
Okay, thanks. Next, we have Dustin Grove from WTHR. Go ahead, Dustin.
Good morning. In terms of class size and teacher pay, what do you say to the school districts, the administrations, the school boards that say we have to look at our bottom line and we have to live within our means?
Well, absolutely. We do understand that they have to live within their means. That's why we rallied at the State House, because it is not our local school districts that provide the funding. It is our state government. But we also know that we have some school districts that have really stepped up and are providing quality resources, not just for our classroom teachers, but also a living wage for our education support professionals, our custodians, our bus drivers. So we have to recognize that in order for our school districts to maintain a proper staff, to ensure that they are providing the best education for all of the students there, that they are going to have to step up when it comes to negotiating the best contracts for all of those employees. And we will continue to fight for funding that is appropriate for our schools. But we want to make sure that when the legislature puts forward money that is to be directed toward paying our educators, that is in fact what is happening.
Thank you, Dustin. Next, we have Tim O'Brien from Fox 59. Go ahead, Tim.
Hey, good morning, you guys. I'm in for Tim. My name is Courtney. I just wanted to ask you guys if the legislature and you all come to an agreement in your favor. I know you had said, Keith, that this won't turn around overnight, but how quickly do you guys see that maybe some positive changes would happen for you and your students?
Well, the first bit of positive that I would hope to have happen is that we see perhaps a decline in those who weren't necessarily ready to retire, but have decided that maybe they'll go ahead to retire. So if we slow down the number of folks who are retiring, slow down the number of folks who just decide they're going to leave the profession altogether. So the first thing that I think we could see immediately is just how many people actually leave the profession, whether that's through retirement or leaving it altogether. The next step, which is incumbent on all of us, is for us to be working with our students who are in high school and encouraging them to go into education, to study education in college, and then to come into the profession. But that takes that's where the time becomes an issue. But we also know that we have folks who had been in the profession before or have considered stepping into the profession. We believe if we make the positive changes necessary, we will be able to perhaps gain back some of those who have left the profession or who are seeking a second career path.
Okay, thanks for that question. We don't have any other hands raised, Keith, so that was the end of our questioning here.
All righty. Well, I want
hold
to...
on a minute. Eric Berman's trying to sneak one more question in here. Hold on, here we go. Go ahead, Eric.
There we go. Nope. Am I still?
You're unmuted. Go ahead. Oh, now you muted yourself again.
How about now?
Now we can hear you.
Even says so at the top. I wanted to ask about health and safety standards, which we've not addressed much since your opening statement. 3 quick interrelated things there. Does the ISTA have a position on mask and vaccine requirements in schools? Is that something that should be decided at the local level? And then beyond that, what kinds of things need to be addressed there?
We have supported from the beginning local control. And that is where we still stand, and we urge our districts to follow the science and to recognize that changes, and it may mean that masks are strongly considered for a time, and then they may turn to being required because you are following the science. We also support the OSHA standards, which provides folks an option that either they are vaccinated or that they are regularly tested. Because at the heart of this, we're talking about the safety of our students and all of our educators and our staff in the buildings. And so we want to make sure that everyone is safe and healthy throughout. Some schools have used some federal dollars, we know, to help improve the HVAC systems in their schools. And we recognize that some of that work is ongoing, and some more of that still needs to be done.
Thanks, Eric. Looks like we have one last question. I believe this is Jasmine from WTHR.
Wish TV, but
Oh, Wish TV, go ahead.
Just down the street. I just had a quick question. So I know you were asking for a mandate for starting teacher salaries, but do you think there needs
we lost the last
Can
part.
you hear me?
Yep.
Now,
There you
sorry.
go.
Okay, sorry. Start again. Okay, I know you guys are asking for a mandate or looking for a mandate for starting teacher salaries, but I was wondering, should there be a mandate, a minimum salary as teachers go along in their careers?
So part of the next steps is the work that we're doing for folks with their career path, and that they can see where they're going. But with that, as educators stay in or as folks move about, that average can start to change. So if one school district, for example, were to have a number of folks retire who were at the top end, and the new hires all came in at the bottom end, it would appear that the average salary in that school district dropped, when in fact, their salaries may have improved through their contract. So we want to make sure that as we are looking at the totality of all of these contracts and the compensation, is that we're starting folks at a level that will encourage people to enter the profession, and we are creating a pathway for them to stay in the profession.
Okay, now I think we're through. I appreciate everybody joining the call and thanking our members and being here today as well.
All right. Thank you to the ISTA staff, Jenny, Jessica, and Laurie. Thank you for taking time out of your busy days to join us today and share your stories. Thank you all for attending.